Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are we doing this absolutely fine Saturday day? Hope everybody's well and all good to go. Well, what an absolutely fantastic night that we had last night. Didn't quite get what we wanted as far as getting the bike, but we found an area where the bikes are taken to, the trackers are ripped out, and then they're moved on to a different location in that area. So yep, we're literally on board in that area 100%. We're going to be patrolling that for quite a long time, to be completely honest with you. We're going to have a really good close eye on it, and or to get your bikes back. Tonight we're going to talk about a couple of things. It's been a very sad day for the motorcycling world. Yesterday, Robbie Captain Knievel has passed away at the age of 60. And that's as a lifelong fan of his father Evil since the 70s. It was such a shame to hear that Robbie has passed away as well. So my huge condolences to him and his family regarding that. We have got a couple of topics that I want to talk about tonight, and I'm hoping that some of you guys will come in and have a chat with me. So what I'm going to do is post up the link. If you do fancy coming on board to have a little chat, click that link that I've just put up there now into the comments, and no cameras, just voice. You can use it via your phone, everything like that. So yeah, I just want to have a chat. We're going to talk about ULEZ. I've tried to ignore it. I really have. As a motorcyclist, as biker, I've tried to ignore ULEZ as much as I can. But it is creeping up. But it looks like the plans to expand the ULEZ zone could be blocked by court. That's what I'm hearing at the moment. There's a campaign group that have now over 17,000 members now that are looking for options for a judicial review. So that's going to pretty much stump what Mayor Khan is doing at the moment. So yeah, I mean, it will affect biker. I won't lie. It's costing quite a bit at the moment when we do get the notices through, and for that ULEZ zone to be extended, it's going to cost us even more. We want to do things this year. We want to get to shows, for instance, we want to get to the XL show in London. Now, it's next month, but they're asking for, I think it's £185 plus VAT for a meter squared. Now, I would love to attend these shows, but how the hell am I going to get £185 for a meter square? Well, it's 150 something maybe. For me, even then, add on the 20%, all adds up. Especially if they've only got 3x3 meter squares. I mean, it's just the price can get into the thousands just to kind of meet people and get your message across as bikers. Yeah, it's just where are we supposed to get this money? With things like ULEZ as well. It's gonna cripple a lot of people. A lot of people's businesses are going to be affected. ULEZ is basically a huge money grab. In my eyes, that's exactly. I agree with Dan Fowler. It's going to be an absolute huge money grab. So there are sorts of groups out there, and this, that, and the other. There are petitions out there. If you do see a petition, sign it. And that's all I can say to you. Sign it. I would love to go to any rallies and go down there and do a live down there as much as I can. I'm going to support the non-expansion of ULEZ. I've got a Mark 6 transit van that we're struggling to keep on the road as it is. We really are putting a lot into that van to keep it going, to recover people's bikes, to make sure that they get home safely, to take custody. I cannot stress how crucial or how detrimental, how detrimental it would be if ULEZ came into an expansion. You got the congestion charge. That was meant, in my eyes, the congestion charge was meant to sort out the pollution. It was meant to stop cars from going into the center of London, polluting cars. Why do we need an extra, ultra low emission zone? It's just bloody ridiculous. So yeah, it's unfortunate that the guy wants to you know, he wants to expand it, and it makes me angry. It makes me mad, because if I could see it going back into London, if all the potholes were done, if it was, you know, if the streets were cleaner, this, that, and the other, you know, if there was more trees being planted in London, I don't know, you know, what do you think? I'm eager to know. I'm eager to know. So under the plans of a £12.50 daily charge will be imposed on any vehicle entering the outer limits of the capital if it does not comply with the emissions criteria. And an estimated 202,000 vehicles are expected to be hit by the charge every day once it comes into force in August 29th. So we've still got some time to fight it, people. I don't usually go political. I try and keep it strictly to bike theft, but this does affect what we do in recovering motorcycles. Campaigners are now pressing ahead with plans to challenge the expansion through a judicial review. Action Against ULEZ newly formed campaign group is exploring options on bringing forward a legal challenge which could halt the mayor's expansion. The group, which was founded late last year on social media, now has hit 17,000 members, and it's growing. I don't know which group it is. I'm not going to promote it, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. So yeah, it's going to hit Kingston upon Thames. Croydon's going to swallow Croydon by the looks of it. Anything pretty much inside the M25 bar Watford, I think that's where it's going to hit, which is going to affect a lot of people. And I don't know. Just sort it out, peoples. Oh, Ricky FX is in. Don't mention potholes. I've just had a blowout literally 20 minutes ago due to bloody pothole. Really? Last night, coming into London, honestly, Ricky, the van almost shook itself to death, the amount of potholes coming into London. It is ridiculous, the state of the roads. And we're supposed to be getting all this money coming in to make London better. It's ridiculous. They're not putting back into the infrastructure, as far as I can see. And I go into London quite a lot. Yeah, even the Prime Minister I'm seeing, Rishi Sunak, for the Department of Transport in October, said, Commons question, there is no legal requirement for the mayor to consult either central or local government on decision to expand the ultra low emission zone. However, we have been clear that government grant funding via longer term funding settlement cannot be used to cover the estimated 250 million cost of implementation. So I'm guessing what I am guessing is that they're opposed to it. Maybe to cover the next election. I mean, I don't know. Morgan Pritchard, how you doing, mate? Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm hoping that you'll come on board tonight and give me your 2 pence. You usually do. Mr. Khan responding, what I'd say respectfully to those councils who are opposing the ULEZ is, how do you explain your constituents the fact that you top the league tables of the largest number of premature deaths? These deaths are preventable, and when you stand in the way of ULEZ, you're making them inevitable. He's using... Well, I mean, a lot of councils, this is what I'm hearing, a lot of councils are not going to put the cameras up. That's what I'm hearing. And bloody good on them. You want to speak to somebody, speak to some of these big freaking countries who are pumping out millions and millions and millions of tons of smog and CO2. We literally do hardly anything, honestly. Peter Gilder's in. How you doing, mate? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, 100% Paul Mack. He's there. He's there. It's great. Yeah, Robbie Knievel passed away yesterday. Mate, what an absolute legend. He literally, I remember him taking on the Grand Canyon, and yeah, he smashed that. He did quite a lot. That is he had a big name to live up to be fair, and it's a very sad day. We can see online that Eddie Kidd, who did that famous jump off with him, he had stated that we are devastated to hear the passing of Eddie, longtime friend, fellow motorcycle jumper Robbie Knievel, who sadly passed away. For all those who recall, Robbie helped the Fight Back team on our Wales ride out and sent a very warm and heartfelt video to Eddie and the team. R.I.P. Robbie Knievel. Those poor buggers. I mean, you know, that's yeah. I can't comment on the convo as it will get banned by the Facebook police. Yes, it probably will. I have been banned quite a lot lately. My post reach has literally it's diminished from, you know, I look at my Facebook just don't like biker. for some reason. They don't like me. And I don't know why. We're the good guys, you know. They don't like biker. They don't like what we do. Somebody's reporting us. The thieves are reporting us, maybe trying to, you know, get one up on us. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's always happened that way. You know, it's always happened that way. I feel sorry for the elderly who go to Tesco and back once a week in their old Metro, doing 5 miles a week, and now forced to buy a newer motor. It's a joke. It is an absolute joke, and I don't think I all of this green. The world is gonna, you know, the end of the world is nigh. It's just ridiculous. Electric motorcycles, they're trying to push electric bikes on us, electric cars. I've got a rant coming, people. I've got a huge rant, honestly. Yeah, we do speak the truth here. There's no bullshit here at all. And you know, I'll tell you how it is, exactly how it is. But yeah, it's the way of the way of the world at the moment. Is going we seem to be going, you know, in a regression rather than going forward. As far as bike theft is concerned, we've got a lot to deal with in regards to bike theft. There's 3 main challenges that we're dealing with bike theft at the moment. The challenges are GDPR. That's a huge challenge of ours. We don't necessarily go to the police and say, hey, we want the names and addresses of the person whose bike we found. Can you give it to us? We know that's against the GDPR rules. We understand privacy, and we respect it. So what we basically have to do is phone up 101 when we've established that the bike has been stolen. We do that with a feeder system called Is It Nicked? Is It Nicked is like I said, is a feeder system, and it feeds off of the police national computer. Write it down just in case you see a bike or you want to, you know, just check a license plate or something. You tap in the license plate and boom, it will come up if it's nicked or not. If it is stolen, it will tell you exactly what area and what police station it's been stolen from, and it updates roughly around about 24 hours after the police national computer. So that we use that system there. Once we've established that it's been stolen, we phone 101, give them all the information and say, hey, you know, this is my name, this is what I'm doing, this is my location. We found that this bike has come up stolen. Obviously, it's been reported by the victim because it's come up as stolen. So can you, with the goodness of your heart, please contact the victim on the number that they've provided and tell them that we've got their bike and we're happy to deliver it free of charge. That seems to be an issue. It seems to be a huge issue with these people, and it really does make me frustrated. Is the fact that we're trying to, you know, sort this out for people. We're trying to do our level best with the limited kind of resources that we've got. We've got an old van. We filled it full of stuff that we can, you know, get somebody back on the road. We've filled it with things that you know, that will help us in recovering motorcycles, i.e. motorcycle that's in a river or down a bank, you know, anything to do to kind of recover that motorcycle. Yeah, no, they just don't want to bloody know. A lot of the times, I mean, I'd say it's around about 70-30. 70% are, you know, okay, mate, yeah, no problem. We'll see what we can do for you. It's a busy night, but we'll see what we can do for you. Okay, well, you know. But then you've got the 30% pretty much who are like, no, you shouldn't be touching that bike. We're gonna recover it ourselves. Maybe 2 or 3 days later, we'll recover it with a private firm. They're going to take it back to an impound. They're going to charge you, the victim, £150 per day. No, pardon me, correction. £150 plus £10 per day per wheel. And that's that. So yeah, and the fine, it can go up to, you know, 2 weeks worth. So, and that's just to get your bike back. Every time I'm out and I see a bike in a sus place, I check the reg down because you're an absolute gem. Yeah, it's we do need more people like you. We've got a lot of people like you actually who are reporting bikes all the time. Wish it was like that. Yeah, so do I. If it hasn't been restolen, most of the time they do get restolen, or the fuel, the fuel lines get cut and they end up torching them. And nothing makes me more mad than a bike that has been torched. Just leave the freaking bike. They're not going to do a DNA test on you. They're going to go through all that trouble when a bike's been sat there for over 24 hours and the rain or the morning dew has taken. Oh, mate. Pretty much it. So at the end of the day, we're getting a lot of trouble there. And another one is pizza bikes as well. These delivery bikes. There's a lot of people when we do recover pizza bikes as such, these little mopeds, and they deliver your fast food. There's a lot of guys who don't really want their bikes back. They don't want to deal with the insurance. They're just like, just bin it, just leave it. So that's a lot of waste of resources there. Not so much of the bigger bikes, because obviously the bigger bikes are a recreational tool and not a working tool. And when it comes to the bigger bikes, the CBRs, the GSXRs, etc., those are the guys who are like, oh, my bike is stolen. The motocross bikes as well. Motocross bikes are getting robbed to a penny these days. We've got to find a way to stop these crosses from getting stolen. There's I'm starting to see more and more and more reports on off-roading motorcycles being nicked. As for the bigger bikes, people are starting to really get serious about their bike security. They're starting to really figure out how to make it as difficult as possible for these bikes to stop getting stolen. On the other hand, I'm seeing a lot of trackers being put in the same place. They're being put either near the battery, underneath the subframe, they're the usual places where they can get ripped out very quickly. I'm going to try and have a chat with a few security industry professionals and just make a few suggestions myself. Like, why don't you put them underneath the bike? Try doing that. Put them on the side of the bike, just level up a little bit, mix it up. Don't start putting them in the same place. I think another good idea as well is to develop stickers that, OEM stickers that look like a CDI unit, stickers that look like a regulator. Let's just try all that we can to kind of, explore ways of them not getting rid of your tracker very quickly. Because once they've got hold of your tracker, and I saw it last night in this bundle of mess and wires, they sliced the tracker in half to make sure that it wasn't emitting anything. And I'll put some photographs of that up on the supporters group. I'll do that probably either tonight or tomorrow. But no, they're getting brutal. These thieves, they're starting to do carjacking, well, bike jacking now. Carjacking on a bike, bike jacking even on motorcycles. They're starting to really get into this third world type of theft, this raw type of theft, and something needs to change. Something needs to happen. We need to start uniting properly. We need to start really sticking together now. If there's ever a time that the motorcycling fraternity, no matter what you ride, needs to stick together, it's now. We need to start fighting back, and I'm all for leading from the front. Not so much physical violence, because it never gets you anywhere. You all end up being nicked yourself. I'm talking about outsmarting and intimidation by numbers. I think that's the way to go, because these kids, and that's all they are most of the time, they're kids. They're young kids with their brains aren't developed properly. They run around in packs in 4s and 5s, and the only way you're going to have, the only chance you're going to have at knocking this kind of theft off their perch, these thieves off their perches, pardon me, is to be in bigger numbers. I'm inviting everybody on here from this moment right now, that I'm going to be inviting people into open patrols that you can come out. I'm going to be inviting new people in to recoveries, and you must have your own transport, whether it's a bike or a car or a van. It doesn't matter what, come out with me, and come out. We'll show you how it's done. We'll start meeting up. We'll make sure you're all safe and everything like that. Make sure you're good. Make sure that you're not some kind of vigilante on a warpath. And then we'll start going out in bigger packs. I think that's the only way that we're going to be able to really stop this now. Just make ourselves known from the motorcycling fraternity that this stops now. It's got to be like that. We've got a meeting somewhere in March, and that's with a well-known motorcycling group, MAG, Motorcycle Action Group. And we've been invited to go down to Gillingham, and we're going to do a little few bits and pieces there. I'm sure you've seen the flyer on the main page. At the end of the day, we're going to go down there. We're going to have a chat with industry professionals, and we're going to showcase what we do. I think that's very important, because there's a lot of misconceptions within the professional bodies of just who biker are. I think there's a lot of misconceptions that we're loose cannons and we go around chasing people and try and be, these big chasers and this, that, and that. No, we don't do any of that. If there's anything, any truth in what I'm about to say, it's that we don't want any kind of attention whilst we're out. We want to get in, do our thing, and get out as quickly as we can. That's the safest way that we're ever going to do anything. So I think that's that. Whilst I'm talking, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on pause for just a few moments, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to watch the Robbie and Eddie Kidd jump show. I think it'll be a fine tribute. So bear with me for 2 minutes, and I will be right back. Cheers then.
Knievel, the most famous name in daredevil jumping. For more than a decade, Evel Knievel had no peers. Tonight, his son Robbie will try to ascend to the championship throne his father once owned, one that has gone unchallenged until now.
Here we go.
Eddie
This
Kidd,
was
England's
absolutely
Dark Knight,
fantastic
has
in the
become
day.
challenger to the Knievel name. His reputation and ability
And
have
this is a
captured the
tribute to
imagination
Eddie.
of motorcycle jumping fans throughout Europe. Tonight, these two world-class jumpers will test the limits in a duel of skill and courage. Flyboy Productions and Event Entertainment, in association with Casino Magic Corporation, welcome you to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi.
This is so 80s, isn't
You are
it?
looking live at the premier casino on the entire Gulf Coast. We are halfway between New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama, on the Gulf of Mexico, where tonight Robbie Knievel and Eddie Kidd meet in the first ever Daredevil duel.
Oh, this was fantastic back in the day.
Welcome
Absolutely
to
loved
the
it.
Edge, where the search for the ultimate thrill has brought a crowd from 5 states to this jewel along the Gulf of Mexico. Good evening, everybody. I'm Phil Stone. Tonight, the human form will confront Earth's most powerful force, gravity, where any miscalculation, a single misgiving could lead to sheer catastrophe.
Oh.
Believe me when I tell you, this is an enormous event by all calculations. First of all, it is more than 5 football fields long. From this takeoff tower, 30 feet up, to the run-out, more than 1,520 feet away. This will also be the first time a Knievel has gone head-to-head. Any Knievel.
Hello,
with
Alan. How you
anyone
doing,
in a
mate?
jump-off competition.
We're watching this
It has been
together
in the making
in memory
for
of
well
Robbie.
over a year. Lending his expertise tonight is a man who is one of the elite jumpers in the world today, Johnny Airtime. And Johnny, gone are
Johnny
those old
Airtime.
fake jumping rules of the past. Here in 1993, we're welcoming in a new governing body, and they hope to usher in brand new standards for this sport.
That's right, Phil Stone. Exaggeration has run rampant in the motorcycle jumping industry. Now we've got the World Professional Motorcycle Jumping Association. And with that association is coming full-on sanctioned and measured jumps, which is going to clean up the jumping game and create a real sport.
Talk about the rules for this particular competition. They have all changed, and there's no question they are for the better in this sport of motorcycle jumping. The rules, they are unique to this particular jump-off.
That's absolutely right.
You can
Phil
tell
Stone.
this was recorded on VHS.
First, we're going to have a target jump. The ramp gap
I'm
is
waiting
going to
for the
be
little
130
tracking
feet.
thing at the
Casino
bottom.
Magic is putting a chip on the ramp for the target at the 160-foot point. The person closest to the chip determines the winner. A $1,000 prize will be awarded in Casino Magic chips. Next comes the competition jumps. The first ramp gap is 150 feet. They're going all out for distance. Next comes the second jump. The ramp gap is stretched to 175 feet. The accumulated footage of those 2 jumps determines the leader. And the third jump, the challenger can challenge the leader for the next jump, and they go all out for a third and final jump.
Okay, just quickly, if you know the result of this, don't tell me.
Joining us on the deck
I know the result of this, but I'm just saying, don't ruin it for the rest of them.
tonight is a man who once jumped 21 cars. Back in 1972, he broke Evel Knievel's record. His name is Gary Davis. And Gary, what about this competition and the motorcycles they'll ride this evening?
Well, here we are in the pit. These are the 2 bikes they'll be using.
Those cans.
I'm sorry. Here we are in the pit. These are the 2 bikes they're going to be using. They're CR500s. They're stock.
God, brutal
They're not allowed to
bike.
change anything except the pipes and the suspension.
Jesus, the
They- The
CR500.
bikes are set up much stiffer to
Always
last
wanted
on
one.
the hard coming down that they'll have. Also, we've added this little transmitter to give you this angle. Here's the look from 30 feet
Very
up on the
first
tower.
helmet cam.
As he takes off, he'll be looking for solid shifts, making sure he doesn't miss any. Right about now, he'll start to accelerate. You'll see the vibrations start as the bike's pulling away from him. Into the air. He slams down from 22 feet in the air. And now on the brakes for a smooth landing.
Well, that's a pretty nice jump.
Now that was
actually.
just one of their practice jumps. The jump's going to get much larger and much rougher. Back to you, Phil.
All right, Gary, Johnny, you've
Over to
jumped
you,
more than
Jim.
4,300 times in your jumping career. What about this perspective? Never seen before.
Well, I tell you what, that's the scene I've seen so many times, 4,300 times. And let me tell you what, these guys' hearts are pounding, and they're going to be in for the biggest jumps of their lives, and I'm super excited.
All right, Johnny, let's meet the jumpers who tonight find the lure of risk simply too tempting to ignore. Knievel, a name synonymous with two-wheel spectacles. Robbie grew up watching his father's exploits. The marquees, the crowds, the heart-pounding drama served as sirens for Robbie. At 31, he's already flown farther than his father ever flew, utilizing a style his dad rode for 13 years with huge success. Tonight, the Knievel name is on the line as the focus broadens.
Jesus, I thought he was going to bend
I
it
always
then.
only had one competitor, and that was Death. And now I've got two competitors. I've got Eddie Kidd, and I've got Death.
Spectacular crashes are an ever-present hazard of motorcycle jumping. To fly with the Eagles, one accepts the risks associated with human and mechanical failure. The Knievels share not only the same orthopedic surgeon, but after years of family turmoil, their father-son relationship seems to be healthy once more.
I just want to say I'm here to keep the name Knievel the most famous on two wheels. I'm very proud of the sport my dad created. Our relationship's good.
England's Eddie
Here's
Kidd
Eddie.
also has a relationship with Evel Knievel. He brings a fire to this sport not seen since the Evil era. Kidd is much more than sheer sizzle. At 17, he challenged Evil to a jump-off in London, where Knievel had crashed 8 months prior.
Hey,
Evil
Alan.
declined. But getting a hold of a Knievel, any Knievel, has been an obsession of Eddie Kidd's, one that began in 1973.
I started when I was 12 years old after seeing a movie about Evel Knievel, and I started jumping on bicycles. Back home, I have a huge following. I'm sort of like the English or European version of Evel Knievel back home. And when we show up to jump, I jumped like from 5 buses when I was 15, up to 8. Then from 8 buses, I jumped 13 double-deckers by the time I turned 16.
2 months ago, Kidd went over the wall, the Great Wall
Oh, I remember
of
this.
China.
It's not the longest jump I've ever done, but one of the most dangerous, because if I wouldn't have landed dead in the middle of that ramp, I would have went down 1,000 feet to a river, and I didn't plan on doing that. I had to smash into some boxes at the end, and well, I'm still here to tell the story about that one.
Letting down
Now,
Box
ladies
Hill
and gentlemen, the
once.
moment you've all been waiting
Absolutely
for.
gem of a geezer.
Let's get to it. 4 rounds of super heavyweight motorcycle action from Casino Magic in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Let's get ready to rumble!
I bet it was absolutely fantastic attending that event.
14 months in the making. They've been here for the last 10 days, going at it on the practice ramps, hand-to-hand combat to be sure. Well, all of the pyrotechnics are out of the way. All there is left now, Johnny Airtime, is the jump itself. And now we've got the cut of the cards. Both Robbie Knievel and Eddie Kidd coming over. The lowest card will have the option of jumping first. Robbie with the face card.
7 of diamonds. You're up, Eddie, babe. I'm trying to use
Eddie's
the
first.
microphone this time. Okay, man.
And there's no question this plays in to Eddie Kidd's psychology of exactly, Johnny, what he wanted to do. He wanted desperately to jump first.
Well, the pressure is definitely on here. You've got not only the camera pressure, not only the crowd pressure, not only the pressure of live national television. You're competing against the jump itself, but you've got another man to consider, another man to beat, another man to push you to the very ragged limit of your capability.
What about the emotion of these riders? You've jumped more than 4,300 times. What goes through your mind at a moment like this?
Well, you've got to focus on your mission, and if you blow it bad. The mistake you don't want to make is the first mistake in motorcycle jumping, because it's very deadly. Now here we've got the target jump, the first jump with a 130-foot gap, and accuracy is key. It's a good jump to warm up on for the
The
distance
size of
jumps,
that camera
but
on
the
the side
pressure
of
is
his lid. look.
definitely mounting for both riders.
The gap from the launch ramp to the landing ramp is 130 feet, but that Casino Magic chip is located 30 feet down that landing ramp. So a perfect jump here, I would assume, would be dead center at 160 feet.
That's right. I would expect both these jumpers to be within about 10 feet of that marker.
The dynamics of this event, Johnny, this is not a one-jump spectacle as we became so accustomed to seeing in the 60s and 70s with Evel Knievel. Tonight, we have a potential for 4 jumps.
That's right. And you can see what distance these jumpers are jumping. We're going to tell you what the ramp gap is, and I've double-checked this myself.
Oh, 100%,
Also,
Morgan.
down the landing ramp,
It's bound to be nerve-wracking, isn't it?
What you do is you add the ramp gap to these hash marks where the jumper landed. We're going to be officially measured by Spanky Spangler, who has tremendous experience in
Spanky Spangler.
Eddie Kidd on the 30.
We've all done that. He's a Londoner.
Being
He's
the
got to
first
be a
jumper up,
Londoner.
Eddie Kidd's got a lot of pressure for just this accuracy jump, and if he nails it,
100% Pete.
Robbie's got all the pressure on his shoulders. Here we go. This could be a speed run.
He's just smashing it. Check him out. Yeah, it's a speed run.
He dives out of the runway, comes down just to check the runway, as he did virtually all yesterday until that vicious thunderstorm accompanied by tornadoes last night. And then earlier today, he was making that speed run right past the launch ramp. And now, as he does a high five with his crew chief, Chaz Saunders, We're set to go.
Yeah.
This will be a go for Eddie Kidd.
The speed run is so that Eddie Kidd can make sure his bike is running clean all the way out. He can make sure his RPM is exactly where he wants it since he does not use a speedometer. Therefore, he's going to have the right speed this time, hopefully.
Good point. Neither Knievel nor Kidd with a speedometer or a tachometer. This is done by the, as Eddie Kidd called it, the seat of the pants riding.
That's right. Experience tells you a lot of jumps you can just judge by the RPM, seat of the pants, like he says. He's got to keep his cool. Under tremendous pressure, some riders tend to over-amp and just go too fast, so he may overshoot.
He's made 39 practice jumps over the last couple of days, looking for a jump of exactly 160 feet.
And
Here
he's
comes
going.
Kidd.
Boom.
He is
That
on it.
was fantastic.
I mean, even to ride a
was within
CR
5 feet
500,
of that
you've got to have
sucker.
balls. You really
That
do
is
got to have
gonna be
balls of steel
hard to beat.
to actually jump it.
Chaz
that.
Saunders is crew chief through
To bring
both
its
arms
neck,
in
you
the air. He
really got to
likes
have
it.
something special.
And now
haven't you?
there is Spanky Spangler on the extreme left as they look for his touchdown point. Now they find it. You see the chip there at the bottom center of your screen inside that circle. That is where a $100 Casino Magic chip has been nailed into that triple thick plywood ramp. It appears as if he'll be just under 160 feet, probably somewhere in the vicinity, Johnny, of 166, 167 feet.
I believe that. I think that the ramp is huge, but it's set up exactly for this kind of jumping, distance jumping. And as we said, this is simply for accuracy right here. And there's Robbie Knievel warming up, doing his first speed run while Spanky Spangler officially marks the first jump of the evening.
This is an accuracy jump. This is a target jump where really excessive distance doesn't do you any good whatsoever. They'll have a couple of opportunities to sail as long as they can go. Let's go now to Gary Davis in the pits. Gary?
Hi, I'm here with Eddie, who made a spectacular jump. I'm told now that you've missed the mark by 7 foot 7 inches. But you feel good about that anyway, don't you?
I feel good. Yeah, it was a good jump, and this is just a warm-up. Let's see what I do on the bit next one. I'm going to plan on going 250 plus.
And I believe
Good
he'll do
boy.
it, folks.
The jump 152 feet 5 inches for Eddie Kidd. And now Robbie Knievel.
And he doesn't even stop.
Down
Look, he's
the
just on
30-foot
it.
takeoff tower onto the 600-foot runway. Robbie now committed to the jump. Again, very, very close to that chip. And again, the one closest to it will receive $1,000 in Casino Magic chips.
It looks to me like one jumper jumped to one side of the ramp, one on the other.
I mean,
But
you've got to
it's
admit. I mean, back then, this
direct
was
line
this
of
was
sight
something extraordinary, wasn't it?
Here comes Robbie down the acceleration tower, checking his gas for the last time. His petcock, you got to make sure that gas is turned on when you're jumping ramp. Here he comes. He's up. The front end comes a little bit high, but he tacks the rear brake. You can see the front end shake, a little bit of head shake there from the
He
bottom.
hurt his wrist a little bit, I think.
And another replay. Front end comes up, rear brake drags. That transfers the spinning mass of the rear wheel into the frame, bringing the front end back down.
Here's the point of view, the helmet cam look. That's what Robbie Knievel is looking at, trying to sight in that chip. Now he sees it, slams the back wheel down. And he, too, is in that vicinity of 153, 154 feet. His back tire, it's the first tire to come down. And, Johnny, I think he is somewhere in that vicinity where Eddie Kidd landed, 152, 153 feet.
I think that's great. They're very, very close. I think they're very evenly matched in ability. And now the pressure is really going to start mounting as they prepare for the distance competition. Next, they're going to spread the ramp gap. And we're going to go down to Gary in the pits.
Okay, we're down here with Robbie, who just made his jump. It's 8. You missed it by a foot, a bit more than he did. How do you feel about that, Robbie?
That's all right. I'm all done gambling at Casino Magic anyway. I'm glad Eddie won that money. He needs it.
Okay, so that was a warm-up jump for you. You're still going to go plenty far tonight, aren't you?
Draw the cards, big guy.
Okay, we're ready to do do the cards when you guys are.
All right, as you look at this crowd, capacity crowd has found their way to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi for this competition tonight. One that really, the seed was planted some 14, 15 months ago. It was originally scheduled for March the 12th in Panama City, Florida, but a huge storm moved through the Sunshine State. And tonight is the night. Now the cut of the cards to see who will go first in the first
Eddie,
competitive distance jump. Eddie Kidd will draw first. A king of spades. The lowest card will jump. The 2 of spades. It will be Robbie Knievel mounting the takeoff tower first. There's his crew chief, Bill Rundle.
You got 10 minutes right now.
You heard Gary Davis informing Robbie Knievel he is on a 10-minute clock now. He must begin his run down the takeoff tower 10 minutes from right now. Johnny, did it take you the full time? Did you like to think about it? I mean, they've had months to think about it. The last 10 days here on site to think about it. Do you want to mount that ramp and go, or will Robbie take some time to think it over?
I think it's best to take your time and think about it, because every jump has to count. You have to be absolutely mentally prepared for each jump. And if you fold at the last second because you hesitate or you're not sure of yourself and you don't fully commit, you're in for some big trouble. And I'm getting nervous right now because Robbie could conceivably jump to the very bottom of this 158-foot landing ramp. A lot of things happen in that space of time. You can loop out, you can endo, you can do a flying W off that launch
I can't
ramp.
remember if
pretty bad out there.
if the CR500 was a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke. If you do know, let me know in the comments, please.
They're going to do their very best to take the other man out. This is a for real deal. And when you're as high as an interstate overpass doing 90 miles an hour, when you hit the ground, it better be on 2 wheels.
Their practice jumps yesterday and today farther than anyone else has ever jumped. And they did it with such routine, Johnny, that I think most of us began to think this has to be a walk in the park for both Eddie and that man right there, Robbie Knievel. But when you talk to their crewman about an hour ago, Bill Rundle for Robbie, and certainly Chaz Saunders for Eddie Kidd, they both feel the nerves. And they were saying a practice jump is just that. It's a practice jump. But when you're going for it all, nobody's going to hold anything back now.
That's absolutely right. It's like sparring and boxing with 16-ounce gloves, and you put the 6 ounces on and go for the gold. Those punches hurt a little bit more, and they punch a little bit harder and put a little bit more into it, and they're a little harder to knock down.
Robbie's bike, a Honda, pretty much a stock CR 500cc bike. About 220, 240 pounds. About 100 pounds lighter than the bike his father rode into the history books 15, 20 years ago. Evo rode a bike, a Harley, that was up around 350 pounds.
That's right. He rode Harleys, American Eagles, Triumphs, BSAs, Nortons. He's ridden all the 4-stroke street bike types, you know, big 750s, 650s and all that. And being a 4-stroke man, that's the kind of bike that, you know, Knievel rode. A lot of the riders back then rode 4-strokes. Nowadays, the primary jumpers are riding 500cc single-cylinder 2-stroke water.
That's just answered my question, then, hasn't it?
Travel,
It was a
rear,
2-stroke.
Back in the old days, he only had 3 or 4 inches.
150-foot ramp separation. Is it a speed run? Yes, as he pulls off.
I would not be surprised to see several speed runs, 2 or 3, because under this pressure, he's got to know what he's doing. He's got to be confident, and he's got to follow through. And the first couple speed runs, just get your confidence up, get your speed where you think that you can land where you want to.
Interesting to look at Robbie Knievel's rear tire. It's a knobby. It's not your street configuration. Why?
Robbie believes, as some jumpers believe, that the knobby is stiffer carcass, higher profile, and he's always had good luck with the knobbies. And actually, with these ramps, they're painted with sand paint, so there's really not a major traction problem. So under different conditions, the knobby would be ludicrous, but here it's acceptable in that, you know, we've got a decent traction situation and we've got plenty of room to gain speed.
Again, the ramp separation 150 feet. Knievel's got it lined up, and he'll pull up once more.
When you do your final speed run and you know that you could have gone on that one and you're ready to go for the next one, your heart starts beating just as soon as you pass that launch ramp, and it is heavy pressure.
Robbie Knievel well into his 10-minute.
And he doesn't wear goggles,
approaching
old Robbie,
5
does he?
minutes.
He never wore goggles with
He
his
has a total of 10
with
to
his
make
jump.
this first competitive jump, and there he's talking things over with his crew chief. There's a good look from the helmet cam. What are they dialing in right now, Johnny? What's going through Robbie Knievel's mind?
Robbie's just telling his crew chief exactly how he stands, if he's going to do one more speed run and then jump, or if he's going to do the jump right now.
Suspension. Such a critical element in jumps this high and jumps this far.
Especially since the landing ramp is so long and flat. It's a tremendously flat angle. That means a really hard landing. And this configuration is set up for distance jumping. The launch ramp is a somewhat flatter angle than some other jumps, but since we're going for distance, they figure that by going high speed, they'll cover a lot of ground in the air. And with such a long landing ramp, you're certain to land on it.
Earlier this week, Robbie had suspension problems. He told us he tightened it up, stiffened things up. They revalved it, added stiffer springs to both the front and back suspension because he was casing out or bottoming out on that landing ramp. And today, we didn't see any evidence of that whatsoever. So apparently, they have at least the suspension dialed into perfection.
Well, I believe they're going to push the limits, and I think they're definitely going to bottom. Both guys are going to bottom hard. I noticed that Eddie Kitt's suspension is soft compared to Robbie's, but I can guarantee you that both of them bottom very hard, and it'll be difficult to even hang onto the bars when they land. This kind of landing knocks the breath out of you. It can break the bike. I've broken handlebars doing this stuff before, and with that flat landing ramp and going as far as he possibly can, you just never know what's going to happen. He's got the race face on this time.
He's got it lined up. He is committed. Knievel's first jump in the neighborhood of 200 feet. And his longest practice jump, Johnny Air time, was about 170 feet earlier today.
Woo, this stuff drives me crazy. I hope these guys get through tonight. Spanky Spangler officially marking where the rear tire set down.
Oh, that name.
And it now appears as if it's back at about 185 to 190 feet.
Here's the replay. Robbie comes up. He keeps the front end down real nice this time, flying somewhat level. Gets slightly crossed up, making corrections, and then he sets down. Another look, the POV. Here's what Robbie's looking at. The only view you definitely don't want to have. Wham! That thing just rebounds so hard. You can see the front end come off the ground right there. Another look. Watch the front end rebound and bounce right off the ramp. That tells you it's completely bottoming, and when they start really airing it out, you're going to see this get a lot worse.
192 feet is the official measurement for Robbie Knievel. And now it is up to Eddie Kidd to chase a figure of 192 feet. Johnny, Eddie leaned out of his motorhome less than an hour ago after a 2-hour nap, smiled and said, I'm looking at a minimum of 250 on my first competitive jump. Can we believe it?
I don't believe it this time because I don't think he has to do that. He's just going to get something of a lead. He might jump 20 or 30 feet farther if he's aggressive. And if he goes any farther than that, I think he's over-amping on the jump. He needs to play it somewhat conservative, maybe go 220 or so. But to just blow out with a 250 would be risking the entire contest at this point.
Eddie Kidd now well into his 10-minute clock. He's got 10 minutes to make his first competitive jump again. The separation of the launch ramp and the landing ramp, 150 feet.
Both these riders wear outfits with no pads. They're wearing full leathers, Eddie actually uses blue jeans with chaps. And most jumpers do use the pads, different types of plastic with pads underneath. And I would certainly not want to go down at these speeds without pads.
Jesus Christ, they were cut from a different cloth in this era, weren't they? No padding, no body armor, no regulations. Just jump the freaking bike.
Designer shops all over the world, and he's quite proud of Vivian's designs.
He's a good-looking man, and he dresses to the T. You got to say that about Eddie Kidd.
At age 16, Eddie Kidd jumped 13 double-decker buses, but on his landing, he slid into his dad, broke his dad's collarbone, also ran his bike into a couple of friends, breaking their legs. Eddie had a concussion. He didn't remember anything about it.
Boy, sometimes he evidently landed on his back and went out and slid down the embankment on the other side of a ravine.
Another speed run for Eddie Kidd. Now, Eddie made about 5 to 10 more practice jumps than did Robbie Knievel this week. They both had a maximum of 40. I think Eddie took his 40th jump about 4:30 this afternoon.
That's right, and I was watching both of these jumpers in practice. Eddie Kidd is keeping the front end down a little better than Robbie, but, you know, when they start really gassing it, the shape of the ramp, interacting with the suspension of the motorcycle combined with rider technique could bring the front end down for Robbie. These dynamics occur when they get really intense.
Eddie Kidd, the Black Knight from London, England. His crew chief, Chaz Saunders, is walking up the landing ramp. And Eddie is trying to dial him in. He's showing him right there is where Robbie Knievel landed. Now Chaz will back up. Eddie continues to dial it in. He's stopping at about 220 feet. 150 from ramp to ramp. And he stood at the 70-foot mark of the landing ramp. So 150 and 70 would be 220. Now Chaz is running down the runway to talk things over with his jumper. You know, earlier this week, Johnny, Eddie was having a casing problem. He was bottoming out, so they went to a larger front wheel.
Well, I'm not so sure that that'll solve the problem because the same diameter and radius is in effect. So it may help somewhat, but that might be more dependent on tire pressure and suspension settings. But the farther they land down the ramp, the steeper the angle they come in at, and the higher their drop comes from. So they're dropping farther, landing at a more steep angle to the 50-degree landing ramp. That's one of the flattest landing ramps I've ever seen.
I believe Eddie Kidd is ready to go. He has a total of 10 minutes to make his first distance jump. Robbie Knievel, on his first jump, sailed 192 feet. Kidd wants to fly by that with plenty to spare. Let's listen now to Eddie Kidd as he gets set to go. All 40 practice jumps behind him. Eddie Kidd is letting it rip, nearing 90 miles an hour. He's lined up. He's committed. Oh, what a jump!
Jesus Christ.
Boy, he landed sitting down with some limp legs. Looks like he's got about a 50-foot lead on Robbie Knievel right now, maybe 30 feet. But he landed sitting down, and he got some major spinal compression on that one. That could hurt him. He's had a back injury recently, which he's trying to get ready for and get prepared and training for. He's been riding a bicycle 56 miles a day. Let's go for a replay. Here Eddie Kidd hits the ramp with total intensity in the attack position. Front end is down. He's flying level, but he gasses it in the air, bringing the front end up. Boom. Hard landing.
In the neighborhood, Johnny, of 210 feet. Look at the way Kidd brought those handlebars up at the point of takeoff.
Oh, that was a good spinal compression. I hope that he's okay after that. He certainly won't let anyone know. We're going to go with a POV here. Here we go. The front end is down. Now it's coming up. Wham!
Officially, the distance 214 feet. A 22-foot advantage now for Eddie Kidd. And that has certainly put the pressure now on Robbie Knievel.
Now they're going to stretch the ramp gap to 175, and they're going to go again. Let's go down to Gary in the pits.
I'm here with one happy Eddie Kidd. How do you feel, pal?
What can I say? I'm over the moon, man. I'm ready for the next one.
Did you hurt your back on that
Yeah,
one?
I heard, yeah, the suspension kicked a little bit, and the front end, I don't like to jump front end, and it went off to the left or the right. I can't remember now. I was having such a good time over there, but it didn't go to plan. On the next one, hopefully, we're going to go a little bit further.
Now, you were real level in the air the whole time. It wasn't until you got across your down ramp that you finally raised the front end.
Yeah, I think I just pulled it up a bit too much, and I hurt my back a little bit. But we'll be ready to go for the next one.
You did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Eddie said he was going to pull out all the stops on his first jump for distance, and he did just that. 214 feet for Eddie Kidd. Well, we are along the banks of the Gulf Coast, right here at Casino Magic, and what a beautiful casino complex it is.
Okay, we're back down with our two heroes again. Robbie, who is now 22 feet behind at this point in the game, is going to draw first. 4 clubs, 2 of spades. Eddie Kidd will jump first.
Fours are tough, man. The fours are tough.
A capacity crowd here in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi on the Gulf Coast. After one jump, it is Robbie Knievel out at 192 feet, and Eddie Kidd, just as he said he would do, he was going to pull it all out and go for the gold on his first jump. And Johnny, he did just that. He leads now by 22 feet as they approach a ramp gap of 175 feet. A 22-foot margin. The jump clock at 8:44 in
How many?
counting.
5 minutes gone? Oh. All right. Good go. Hold goggles.
Yesterday, we watched Eddie jump, Johnny, and he was jumping off to the right. He was landing about 1 foot 2 feet right of center because of a very gimpy left leg.
Yes, he hurt himself recently, and that left leg, he was favoring it, so that caused the suspension to do a pogo stick effect, sort of like Gary Wells did at Caesar's Palace.
Okay, guys, I'm going to have to cut it short there. I've got some things that have come up. Another bike has come in. If you want to see more of that, it's on the YouTube right there. I've just posted up the link to that video. I just want to say thank you very much for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure watching that, and I shall watch the rest as soon as we're out, as soon as we come back. As you know, needs must, we're all about bike theft. I just wanted to celebrate Robbie Knievel tonight. At the end of the day, he had an absolutely amazing life, and he will forever be remembered. That's it from me. Thank you very much. I've got to scoot. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's it from me tonight. I go make yourself a cup of tea, and I shall be right back on the next one. Hopefully tonight we'll get a good result. If we do get a good result, then I will go live. Thank you very much. Cheers, and bye-bye.